Cara gente, buonasera, buonasera. Benvenuti nella prima live di oggi, in cui tra pochissimo guarderemo questa presentazione ufficiale di Warhammer di Horus Heresy Saturnine. Vediamo se... ci mostreranno sicuramente la scatola, poi vediamo se magari faranno un po' di commento, o se banalmente mostrano la scatola e va bene, quello è l'importante. Poi vediamo se aggiungono qualcosa. Vediamo un pochettino, un pochettino. Buonasera cari, buonasera. Smizzo, tra l'altro, grazie mille per la resub per il 18° mese. Grazie mille. Ho notato appunto che hai resubbato nel pre-live. È vero, sì, effettivamente potrebbe esserci un altro trailer, sì, sì, sì. Torneo di curling, ovviamente, sì, sì, proprio pronto in questo momento, guarda. Assolutamente. Sì, però il trailer ovviamente in 180p, certo, sì, 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 ovviamente, in versione leak, ovvio, ovvio. Ci mancherebbe altro, ma certamente. Ah. Vediamo, vediamo, dai. Nei minuti prima nei minuti di pre-live, più che altro, mi sono un attimo collegato nell'Owlcat post-show che stanno discutendo due content creator con Starrock, che è diciamo il community manager di Owlcat Games, che stanno discutendo di un po' di cose riguardanti l'annunciato ieri Dark Heresy. Stavano discutendo. Ho potuto ascoltare poco anche perché non ho avuto molto tempo, però ho visto che stavano discutendo leggermente la questione dell'allineamento, perché comunque ci sarà il puritano radicale, dato che si parla di inquisizione. Vediamo, magari non riesco ovviamente a farlo perché adesso sono le 8, quindi non ho il tempo, però poi più avanti magari vedo di ascoltarmi bene. Ehi.
Has underpinned the lore of the Warhammer 40,000 setting. A once mysterious reference has grown and evolved to become one of
Ne
the best
parleremo poi
loved
comunque, quindi
aspects of the
quello volevo
entire
dirvi.
Warhammer hobby, spawning multiple games, a best-selling series of novels, and of course, many hundreds of glorious Warhammer miniatures. And here's how it all began. 1987. The Horus Heresy appears as a snippet of text, squirreled away in the Book of the Astronomicon, a supplement for Rogue Trader. 1988. The tabletop battle game Adeptus Titanicus, featuring epic battles between Titan legions, is released. The game is set within the Horus Heresy. In the following year, Space Marine, another epic-scale game, emerges, putting the warriors of the Legiones Astartes
Niente,
on the
appena
battlefield
iniziato.
in massive numbers. 2003.
Non credo altri titoli, non credo, è proprio la presentazione di Saturnine, quindi non credo ci sia altro che debbano presentare. Poi magari a sorpresa, però, salvo sorprese, quello devono fare.
This best-selling series goes on to include 54 volumes from many of the greatest writers ever to handle Warhammer fiction. 2012. Forge World unleashes the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, along with an accompanying range of incredible new miniatures depicting the heroes, warriors and war
Che belli
machines
quei
of the
diorami, io l'ho
Heresy.
visti dal vivo.
2015,
Stupendi.
the Betrayal at Calth board game, including the first new plastic models for the Horus Heresy in a generation. 2018, the setting returns to its roots as the Warhammer Studio unveils a new edition of Adeptus Titanicus. 2019, the galaxy-spanning story told through the Horus Heresy novels reaches its peak, culminating in the Siege of Terror series. 2022, a new edition of the Horus Heresy game is released, Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness. Boasting incredible new plastic kits and refreshed rules, this edition reaches more fans than ever before. 2023, Legions Imperialis bursts onto the scene, allowing battles between the Legiones Astartes, the Titan Legions, and more, with small-scaled miniatures on truly incredible modular battlefields. And that brings us to today, the 23rd of May 2025. Welcome to this Warhammer preview and the celebration of the Horus Heresy.
Hello everybody and welcome to this very special Warhammer preview. My name is Adam Troke. I'm joined by my colleague and friend Eddie Eccles.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to talk about Horus Heresy.
Absolutely. Welcome everybody to the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy drop site preview. We're here for about an hour or so to give you the lowdown on a load of amazing new Horus Heresy.
Ok, circa un'ora. Quindi ho fatto bene teoricamente a dirvi che la live chiacchiera inizia un pochettino dopo.
Throw the camera over to the Lore Master Alex Doddy in Question Corner.
Oh yeah. So because we're live today, we are going to be taking questions. However, there are many thousands of you in the chat. So if you put questions all in caps at the start, I've got a better chance of catching it. Brilliant. All right, so the way this is going to work is we have absolutely loads of great Horus Heresy stuff to show you. We've got some videos, we've got some pictures of some new miniatures. We might have a little bit of a discussion about rules, loads of really good Heresy stuff. So stay tuned, there's loads of stuff. If you're a fan of Horus Heresy already, you're in for a treat.
Hai la mia stessa maglia, Eddie.
Horus Heresy and our Horus Heresy
Anch'io
series,
quella maglia di
welcome,
Thousand
and we hope
Sons.
you find an amazing new setting and game to enjoy.
È bellissima quella
The
maglia.
chat is busily filling
Bravo.
up, so while everybody files in and gets their space ready for the drop site preview, it's always worth just doing a couple of questions out there. And my first question, I always like to ask this when we're doing a preview, is where in the world are you tuning in from? If you could let us know in the chat, it's always good to get a sense of where the Warhammer community is piling in from. We'll get Alex to give us the lowdown on where you're all from. It's always nice to know.
Io il
Just while you're
problema che ho
introducing
con
yourselves in the
Alex
chat,
è che
Adam,
parla
have you got any Horus
basso.
Heresy hobby on your table at the moment?
So, this is the golden question.
Alex, a me fa piacere tantissimo quando fa le interviste agli autori, ma deve alzare la voce, perché a volte è tipo impercettibile dal microfono.
You will see, I'm repping Iron Warriors colours today because I think I fancy trying some Iron Warriors.
Te vi giuro, a volte io ascolto le interviste di Scribe and Scriveners e sono lì che tipo faccio su e giù col volume perché dico, che cazzo ha detto? Non ho sentito.
Do you think Adam should choose Iron Warriors, or if you think there's another legion would be better suited for him, by all means, pipe up in the chat. I
Poi sono
myself have
belle
got
le
some white
interviste,
scars on
però
the table
mica
at the
dico,
moment.
per favore
I've never
Alex,
painted
alza
a
la
white
voce,
army
non
before, so I'm quite looking
sento.
forward to it.
You often paint black, don't you?
Yeah, I always end up kind of gravitating towards the guys in black armor because they've got, you know, there's some pretty cool choices out there.
First Legion.
But I thought I'd try white scars because I like the color scheme. I think is very cool, and I like the idea of lots of guys.
Informazioni che assolutamente nessuno a voi ha mai richiesto. Se vi chiedete dov'è Gorka Morka? Qua.
From every corner of the world.
Dove c'era Angelis.
America, Brazil, Switzerland, Sweden, Australia. A couple of people from Nottingham. Plenty of people from over in the Dallas Open.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, all over. They seem to think that you should probably stick with Dark Angels.
Stick with the Dark Angels. I mean, why break the habit?
We'll see how you feel at the end of the preview, shall we?
Yes,
if anything that we show maybe sways you towards a certain allegiance or otherwise.
I like it. I do fancy a change of painting technique, though. We shall see. Yeah, thanks. And it's really great to have you wherever you're from. We love it when the Warhammer community feels truly global. So this is a special time for us.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess what we should do is, Eddie's already said how the run of this thing's going to go. Over the next hour or so, we're going to preview all sorts of great Horus Heresy content. There'll be some reveals of things that you've never seen before. And it should be a very exciting time for everybody. But what better way to kick off a preview like this than with a brand new animated cinematic trailer?
Oh sì. Oh sì.
I was there when he painted this. An oddity among his schematics and calculations.
Quelle Valdor.
Yet, this seemed to help him. A way he could express the enormity of his plan. Not if the legions are successful. It depends on how deep the rot goes.
attack failed.
How many?
Half of the legions now stand with Horus.
You're surprised?
In the end, I suppose not. Do you wonder if they might be right? Many will sympathize with their rebellion.
I am the Emperor's spear. What I think doesn't matter.
What now, then?
We make ready for a war that may never end.
Mado, pure Malcador mi hanno fatto vedere, doppiato, animato. Ma che bello, che figo.
What an incredible way to kickstart the announcement of a new edition of Warhammer Horus Heresy. Eddie, what can you tell us about the trailer?
Figo.
Absolutely. So that was the brand new Horus Heresy cinematic trailer announcing the new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy and the new box set which is on its way, which is Saturnine. Very cool. And before we talk too much about this box set, let's just take a moment to have a chat about what we just saw in that cinematic trailer. Lots of very cool stuff there, from the Palace of Terror to the Black Sands of Istvan. We saw some new units we've never seen in action before, some new characters, some new places we've never been before. Adam, did you have a take?
Yeah, I do. And it might be a surprise or not, depending on how you felt about the trailer. But for me, it's the Iron Warrior Centurion. He's the star of the show, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely owning his ground.
Che belle le
Brilliant
armi di
damage against the
disintegrazione
Salamanders,
comunque.
and then charging off to take on the Saturnine Dreadnought. Amazing. Loved it.
I think for me, seeing Terra was very cool.
Yeah.
So we've never been there before. We've never kind of
Cioè, mi piace un botto che hanno preso il concetto che avevano tirato fuori con il fucile a disintegrazione
The
del
scale of
vecchio,
it. Like when you have that shot over Malcador's shoulder.
del vecchio Marine dei 30 anni, quello che poi è diventato anche l'armatura potenziata L2, e l'hanno resa un'arma più diffusa.
That will be up on all of our various social media channels very soon. So if you want to rewatch
E si vede che disintegrano.
glorious detail, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
But the trailer is only, of course, the herald of.
Beh, ci sta ben venga che lo studio man mano faccia progressi. È quello che ci si augura di solito.
With this new box, Saturnine.
Very
We've
exciting.
obviously never seen before.
Yeah, you'll have never seen this anywhere ever. Any rumours would have just been hearsay, I imagine.
Should we crack it
Do the
open?
honours. Do the honours.
There we go. And first thing to say is this. It is a heavy, hefty box, and you can see it is absolutely packed to the brim with plastics. There is loads of new cool stuff in there.
There are a few things that we'll just cover off the bat, right? It has a range ruler. That will probably come as a surprise to nobody. And it does have, if you are a fan of the Horus Heresy game, you will already be familiar with these. But it has blast markers and my favourite, the flamer template. Great for dealing with the enemy.
Will enjoy that.
Anybody who likes setting fire to the enemy.
Dive in, right? So the first new
Sì, perché infatti la scatola,
this is a,
perlomeno di pittura,
Mark II Crusade armor, Space Marines.
e salamandre
There are 4 of these
contro guerrieri di
boxes.
ferro.
One of these boxes makes you 10 Crusade armor Space Marines. As you can tell, they are gloriously multi-part with loads of different options available. You can build them in a variety of different ways. The ones on the screen right now are made up as tactical legionaries. So these are the guys you have kicking around in big squads, firing lots of bolter shots.
Grazie mille Marco per il
And then
Prime
you've
per il
got
nono
line
mese.
systems, Crusade
Grazie
armor,
mille.
named of course after its performance in the Great Crusade.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an iconic silhouette for any Space Marine Legion force.
Almeno adesso le vediamo un po' meglio.
40 tactical
direi.
legionaries in this box, and you can build them in different ways. In a moment, we'll shift you over, and you'll be able to see some of the other options that come. There you go. So one of the things that this set contains is obviously all the command options you need for your Vexilla and your.
Mi piace un botto che hanno messo,
and Vox.
lo dicevo
So
anche delle
everything you need
immagini
to
viste
make full squads.
precedentemente, che
And quite excitingly, they
c'è un
also
botto che si
contain
veda
some special
che
weapons.
mettono anche
Have a
l'elmo
frame
con
here if,
il mezzo pannello
you want to have a
ablativo.
look at it, or maybe we'll put them up on the screen. So these are legionary veterans with disintegrator weapons.
E
So
qui infatti
if you've not
vedete
seen
che hanno le
disintegrator
nuove
weapons before,
armi
these
di
might be familiar if
disintegrazione.
you're old enough to remember a model that was released around the time of Rogue Trader. I think it was LE02. And there's
Appunto,
been
ciò che vi
here
dicevo.
you can see the frame in my hand. So the set contains frames of
Il
these. So you
tizio
can
col fucile a
equip, I think it's up to
disintegrazione, che è
20 of the
diventato
models,
L2.
as full squads of legionary veterans armed with
So
disintegrators.
you get effectively these smaller guns here are disintegrator rifles, and you've got enough.
Qua si vedono i cosettini che avevano messo nel sito di Horus Heresy.
But you can also upgrade some models in the squad to have heavier versions of them. And you've also got things like combi disintegrators in the mix as well, and all sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're wondering, they are extremely dangerous weapons. There's some risk and reward to how you use them, but fantastic for some serious punch for your legionary warriors.
Those, like a lot of the other weapons in games of the Horus Heresy, are also compatible with lots of across the wider Space Marine range. So if for some reason you really didn't like Crusade armor, although that's crazy because everyone loves Crusade armor, you could also put those disintegrator weapons on Iron Armor troops or Mark 6 or any of the other Space Marine kits you've got. It's one of the really nice things about the Horus Heresy miniature range for Space Marines is that it is so compatible across all the different kits.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're showing them for the most part in the colours of the Iron Warriors and the Salamanders Legions. But you can paint this, the concepts of this entire box set however you like. You can see here some just beautiful examples that the studio painting team have done of other colour schemes. Some legions in particular. So,
sì, poi giustamente le miniature come al solito sono generiche, quindi alla fine poi ve le dipingete come volete.
So you can really sort of stick your own character into your collection.
Yeah, but absolutely every legion did have Crusade armor at some point. Some of them
Sono armi a disintegrazione. Ne avevamo vista solo una precedentemente. Adesso l'hanno rese effettivamente un po' più diffuse nell'arsenale.
Well, this is the problem. Is why I'm having such an issue, right? Is that basically all Space Marines look great. I do like the simplicity. I do like the simplicity of the Fourth Legion, though. It's good and robust.
Let us know in the chat, guys, if you've got a favourite from the ones.
Oh, the word bearer looks amazing.
They all look amazing. That's the point.
Right. While we're talking about Mark II armor, we should bring your attention to the next of the frames within the kit. This is the Mark II armor Centurion, who is there we go. Who is the commander you saw essentially in the cinematic trailer a little while ago. This is a great kit. It makes your Centurion. He has a combi melter.
Sono proprio quelle armi della mini commemorativa.
He has a cyber familiar. Great banner for all of your Legion heraldry, and quite excitingly, he has a second head.
Sì, hanno rifatto le Mark II. Sì, sì.
As a different option, you can.
And the fact that the head is separate as well means you can obviously interchange that with lots of other kits too. But a very cool, imposing looking character. The size of that mace as well is fairly imposing too. A very nice little centerpiece.
Yeah. I'm pretty high on that model as it goes. While we're talking about the things that are in the kit, I should bring your attention to the Arachne weapon platform. Oh, there you go. I knew I was going to bungle something. So this is across two frames. It's a really substantial kit.
Questa qua.
There you go. Eddie, do you want to stick the one with the guns in? That's a bit more exciting, isn't it?
So this has got the same weapons that you see on the Sikaran tank.
That's
but
right.
It's got twice as many of them. So if you've ever
Lui aveva l'arma il fucile a disintegrazione.
In terms of Horus Heresy, you'll know that they're fairly
there we go.
decent against almost any target. It's a very flexible gun that can just make a mess and pretty much whatever it points at. This has got twice as many of those weapons. So you plonk these in a nice defensible position somewhere in your battle line and just dominate the battlefield and kind of control the fields of fire.
It has a couple of things going for it. One is the way you can drop it down into battle, and the other is it has an adamantic purvase.
Io ne ho alcuni originali in metallo, non quello però. Piacerebbe poi recuperarlo.
It gives you some really useful defensive benefits, and I can quite imagine lines of these just pouring shots into the enemy. Yeah. A bit like in the trailer.
Absolutely.
Right. So that is half of what's in the box set in terms of the miniatures. Yeah. So numerically more, but an equal number of the kits. So the other half is what gives the box set its name, which is the Saturnine stuff. And before we show you the Saturnine models, let's show you a little something on what Saturnine actually is.
Saturnine Tactical Dreadnought Armor is the heaviest and most advanced suit of armor in the Imperium. Its origins are shrouded in mystery, but it is known to have originated in the tech enclaves of Saturn. There are records of Saturnine-clad warriors as early as the late Unification Wars and the First Battle of the Great Crusade.
La voglio.
Complexities of its production meant that it was soon
Quanti
overshadowed
altri
by
aveva
the
anche
more numerous
Gramarie.
Cataphracti and Tartarus
Quanti altri
pattern suits.
Domani la voglio questa.
Saturnine armor was already fading into legend by the dying days of the Great Crusade. That was until the Primarch Vulcan took it upon himself to unlock the secrets of this venerable technology.
Vedi che alla fine l'hanno davvero collegata a Vulcan. Proprio perché l'unica armatura simile che si vedeva nell'eresia era nel racconto Deeds Endure, con le salamandre.
That it was forged to protect. A warrior in Saturnine plate is a formidable opponent. Though ponderous, they are immune to most enemy attacks, and themselves wield some of the most lethal Legion portable weaponry ever devised. The Saturnine siege dreadnoughts take this durability and destructive potential even further. Those interred are required to be of an especially disciplined mind. But for those that can master it, there are few foes that can stand before their wrath.
Mi piace un botto che
Welcome
l'hanno
back. That was
davvero
a good little
collegato a
primer on
Vulcan.
what Saturnine is, and we got to see, a little bit of what it looks like. Let's delve into the models.
Yeah, here we go. So we'll kick off with the Saturnine Terminators. I've got one of the sprues here. So you get 2 of these sprues in the box, and each one of these will give you 3 Saturnine Terminators, so 6 total across the box, and they have a variety of different weapons. As you heard from the video there, they are very powerful, but very quite rare, I suppose, in armies. So certainly at the time of the Drop Site Massacre, they were just being reintroduced en masse, so certainly not as numerous as the other marks of Terminator armor, but more powerful, more devastating, able to carry better weapons, and more able to resist enemy fire. So a very powerful unit.
Yeah, speaking of those weapons, this kit has
Dobbiamo vedere quanto è grosso, perché in realtà
options.
penso sia molto più sul Leviathan che sul Contemptor, però dopo dobbiamo magari vedere un pochettino.
Have the heavy disintegrators and the disruption fists. The weapon kit also includes plasma bombards.
Poi, a prima impressione, ovviamente.
Now, the interesting thing about them, if you look at the one on the right-hand side as you look at the screen, he's got 2 plasma bombards. These can
Perché il design è molto più Leviathan che Contemptor, però bisogna poi vedere magari le
18
dimensioni.
weapons, 6 of each of the main weapons. So essentially, you could do, for example, 3 with double plasma bombards, or 3 with double heavy disintegrators, or you can put the disruption fists in. The disruption fists are always on the left. I'll leave it to you to work out the best armament.
Bestia che fighi coi Dark Angel.
Examples of alternative paint schemes for different legions that have been done by the Warhammer painting studio.
Yeah, I mean, so again, you can have these in any of your legions. They look good in almost any color. You've got lots of lovely armor plates there to kind of show off your painting skill. The Salamander ones have obviously got that beautiful.
A me sembrava davvero grosso,
volcanic look to them,
infatti,
the White Scars one there,
sto Dreadnought
what you can do with,
Saturnine.
lovely Legion heraldry, but yes.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how these are going to fit into your existing army, if you're already a player, Saturnine armor is more durable. The weapons are extremely powerful. They're well protected. They have thermal diffraction fields, and they can fire both weapons thanks to the advanced targeting systems. So when you consider the plasma bombard, which is essentially an indirect fire plasma cannon, you can imagine the potential for wreaking havoc on the enemy.
Yeah. So alongside your squads of Saturnine Terminators, you'll obviously need someone to lead them into battle, and the box set has got one of those as well. This is a Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor, and he's absolutely jam-packed with detail and also quite a lot of options on the sprue as well. You've got choices for how you want to put them together. That is the sort of out-of-the-box Salamander version of him, and you can see he has an absolutely enormous hammer, which is about twice the height of a Space Marine, so you'd imagine that makes a mess when it hits.
Yeah, so he's holding a
No, dei dia penso semplicemente fosse lo stesso.
2 options for the
stesse
base
girando.
plate of the hammer.
Molto figo, madonna.
In terms of other options, there are 2 options for
Che
the lanyard.
bestia.
There's 2 options for sort of his tabard. 4 options for the head, and here you can see the other major option, which is there's also a Saturnine war axe. This model in particular, I think, is just one of the most impressive Space Marine miniatures
Lascia
I've
la
ever seen.
guerra,
Whoever painted it
Saturnine.
and posed it, it's done an amazing job.
Yeah, I think these guys are very, very powerful in game as well. So in Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, as well as Space Marines, you also have the demigods of battle walking around. You have like Primarchs and demons and all sorts of things that you might have to come up against. A Praetor
Non lo
in
so se
Saturnine
riuscirà a
Terminator
dipingere
armor
uno
is pretty
entro
much
fine
as
2026,
tough as
dai,
you can
si
make
spera.
a Space Marine get. So in terms of stat line and damage output and things like that, he is approaching the level of some of the Primarchs and that sort of thing. So
Yes, you're going to think twice before you fight him with anybody, aren't you?
yes, absolutely. They are very, very powerful, and they
Bella
look
anche la
great as a
mano.
centerpiece kit. If you've decided that you don't want to have a Primarch leading your army, and if you want to represent a legion or a chapter that isn't fighting alongside one, or if you just want to have another bruiser in your force alongside a Primarch, it's a great thing to add in.
So we should probably go to what for many people I think is going to be the centerpiece kit. In
Tra l'altro io
Saturnine,
poi voglio
which is the
vedere un
Saturnine
pochettino
Dreadnought. This comes on a
l'interno, perché in realtà
variety
se
of
uno
frames,
guarda
we
il
can't
sito
load
di
of
Horus
ones.
Heresy,
But
hanno fatto
this is
vedere
essentially an upscaled version of the
Che
Saturnine armor that you've seen up to
l'interno
now. It is the
del-
largest and most powerful dreadnought in the
del
armories
Terminator
of the Legiones
Saturnine
Astartes,
ha fondamentalmente un
and it
sedile.
towers above other dreadnoughts.
Quindi io non...
In
Cioè,
terms of what it's armed
ma
with, it has,
si dovrebbe anche un po'
disintegrated
notare dal
cannons.
design,
That's
che non
that
dovrebbero proprio
enormous gun on its left
indossarla
arm. It has a
completamente,
heavy plasma bombard
ma che è
on
più
its
una cosa
right
in cui
arm,
loro entrano
and it can
quasi
fire
come
both.
fosse un
This
mezzo
is
mech.
a real heavy-duty war machine. Again, it has that same thermal diffraction field to protect it from injury. It's mounting sort of point defense weapons in its chest armor. This is a real bruiser.
Yeah, a huge amount of firepower on this thing as well. Even more firepower than you could expect from some of the other very large dreadnoughts that you get in the Horus Heresy. So even more than things like the Leviathan dreadnoughts and some of the big Custodes ones. It is a powerhouse that is pretty much
Grazie
the
mille
most
Gianmaria,
powerful walker
sono contento che
you
ti stia
can
piacendo la lettura.
have in a Space Marine Legion army, approaching the level of some of the knights and things like that. So definitely a great addition to any Space Marine army.
Yeah, in those chest-mounted weapons, I was trying to remember the name of it. It either is 2 photonic incinerators or it's twin concussion resonators. We'll tell you what those do in articles in the future, but they're a bit like, in effect, flamers, but they each have their own special effects on top. So they use the template weapon marker, and they're very nasty if you get too close.
So that is all the miniatures from the Saturnine box set. I think we might have a nice shot of all of them together somewhere to show you kind of how it all looks when it's all laid out together. There you go. There it is, beautiful. So we have painted this box set up in 2 colours. We have the Salamanders on one side and the Iron Warriors on the other. We'll let you in on a little secret. If you want to buy this box and paint them all one colour, you can absolutely do that. And it actually gives you a really solid start to a Space Marine force. That is a pretty much self-contained, medium-sized Horus Heresy army ready to go straight out of the box.
Perfect. So, with all of the miniatures in Saturnine covered, I think it makes sense for us maybe to see if there's any questions bubbling up in the chat. Let's throw over to question corner with our lawmaster. Alex, what have we got?
There are indeed. There's a lot of excitement, particularly about the Saturnine. So just nipping back to the Mark II, do they work with all the other kits, like the heavy weapons, special, melee?
That's a really good question. If we didn't cover it off clearly enough, yes, the special weapons and heavy weapons that are already within the plastic Horus Heresy range are completely compatible with those. I've seen some; they look great. So yeah, you've got a lot of variety.
There's a lot of people like
Me lo chiedevo anch'io, Marco, effettivamente. Sono incredibilmente dispendiosi da costruire, quindi...
40 Mark II legionaries. You can build them as the veterans with disintegrators, and I think, I wouldn't want to bet my life on it, but I think you can make 2 full squads.
Intanto vi dico, hanno detto semplicemente che i kit attualmente disponibili delle armi sono compatibili con questi nuovi Mark II, quindi insomma se voi acquistate le varie armi che attualmente sono in catalogo sono compatibili, non avete problemi con queste nuove Mark II, insomma.
So lots of people asking who can use Saturnine. Same question regarding the whole box. There's no like sculpted Legion specific iconography on them at all.
So that's a really good question. So any Legion can use any of the stuff.
Altra cosa che vabbè, in realtà non credo ci fosse bisogno di rispondere perché basta avere degli occhi funzionanti, secondo me, però si vede. No, non ci sono iconografie specifiche sui modelli, si vede che sono piatti.
And scroll work. Some of the kits have more of that. And then there's an option to swap it out for more chains and more kind of eyes of Horus.
Where those parts exist on the kits, they are the optional parts. Yeah. So you can sort of tailor your force a little bit more. But very much this is
qui no, non sono salamandre contro guerrieri di ferro del tipo no, se comprate sta scatola no, mi spiace, tu sta roba la puoi utilizzare solo queste legioni. No, sono tutti piatti e per tutti la scatola.
To all of his brothers was that he sent Saturnine armor to all of the legions.
He's a really generous guy.
And so
really nice
it's a bit sad that it was then used against him on his bad life.
There's a lot of release-related and rules-related questions, some of which will be answered.
We might have some rules later. Who knows? Who knows?
And the final one, somebody asked.
Ok, quanto pare vogliono parlare anche un po' di regole.
And several people asked, can we have a Leviathan for scale? And I think we do have some things to compare.
We do have some things for scale.
Ok, c'è forse modo di fare un po' di scala.
We have some of the models here. So we'll start off with the Arachne Quad Accelerator platform, and I think we'll compare this in size to one of the Mark II Legionaries.
He looks so weak.
So that is about the size of it. So it is certainly considerably larger than the tarantulas that you might have been expecting. You can see the size of those accelerator cannons are themselves about 3 times as long as a Space
No,
Marine.
infatti Flint, non so proprio di cosa stai parlando. Non saprei.
So that is a fairly formidable gun platform there. It's a lot bigger than a tarantula. In terms of how they compare to some of the other things, we also have a Saturnine Terminator. So if you're wondering,
averle le hanno queste armature, perché tutto sommato le hanno tutte, chi più chi meno sono comunque utilizzabili da tutti, però prima specificavano che comunque questa fosse principalmente una creazione derivata da Vulcan.
Saturnine Terminator compares to one of the current Tartarus Terminators there.
So I think to bear in mind when you look at this, obviously, is that it's bigger armor. A lot of that height is in the shoulder armor, where the thermal diffraction fields and the technology that allows it to make teleport strikes exists. But these are towering suits of armor.
They are. I've also got another little heavy disintegrator there. On the
always jolly. Yeah. We should show you how the Praetor compares.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Praetor is a very large, imposing-looking model. Here he is compared to Saturnine Terminator.
Vabbè, ma in questo caso non è per vedere il dettaglio lo vediamo benissimo da altre immagini, più che altro per capire un attimino la scala.
The Saturnine armor for the Praetors actually allows them to go toe-to-toe with some of the kind of big hitters of the Horus Heresy, the Primarchs and things. So we've actually brought along Vulcan himself to give you a comparison about how big those Saturnine Terminators are in comparison to something
Chunky
like
boy, proprio.
He is good. So the Primarch himself, obviously, in terms of stature, is still significantly larger, but you can see that the kind of additional armor plating afforded to the Praetor in that Saturnine plate certainly makes his presence on the battlefield almost as imposing as a Primarch, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool. All right. I think we had some questions about the size of the dreadnoughts as well. Can we have a Saturnine?
Guarda lì che ce li hanno per fare
proprio
confronto.
There, just so we can get a sense of size. There he is with one of his finest creations, the Saturnine Dreadnought.
Sicuramente ho visto un Leviathan, non so se ne hanno anche altri.
One of these things is dwarfed by the size of the Saturnine Dreadnought, absolutely towering over him. We have a few of the other Dreadnoughts to kind of show you the scale. Vulcan, thank you so much for showing up, Vulcan. I'll see you later. Have a great time on this, fan. This is courtesy of Terra. We have one of the Legio Custodes Contemptor Dreadnought.
E fin qua, che fosse più grosso, era abbastanza scontato rispetto a quelli dei Custodi.
It's a decent size.
Ancora al Telemon, magari, però.
Frame, and he comes up to about 2/3 the way up the torso. One of the bigger dreadnoughts, we've referenced it already once this evening, is the De Radio.
Here he is.
So here he is with all the guns.
The Radio mi piace perché ogni singolo abitante del pianeta pronuncia Der Dio in modo diverso.
So the Leviathan, currently the largest dreadnought walking on any battlefield in Warhammer. And as you can see, even the Leviathan dreadnought is a good shoulder plate smaller than...
It's really interesting though, isn't it? You can imagine sort of the Saturnine sort of stomping forward with extra sort of thermal diffraction fields, tanking sort of...
No, ci sta, ma infatti io lo dico a mio modo, poi so benissimo che altre persone lo dicono in altro modo. Io tipo, ad esempio, anche nei reel, l'ho detto come io lo dico, poi...
The whole mix, or the whole family, the whole gang get together, stomping across the battlefield could look very cool indeed. So there you go. Some scale shots there. I'm sure we'll have some more.
No, infatti era immenso.
Up on the Warhammer community website in the not too distant.
A me onestamente non dava l'idea di essere vicino al
We've talked a lot about all of the miniatures that come inside Saturnine. We've done a pretty good job, I think, of showing you all of the stuff you get and how it scales. We haven't really talked about the rules yet, so it's probably time for that. Why don't we begin with this little primer about the new rules?
A new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy means big changes to the rules of the game. Players will need to adapt to the new realities of war in the Age of Darkness. For those generals who can master these changes, you will find new tools and abilities that will help you to secure victory. Battles are won and lost by the feet of legendary heroes. There is now a new suite of abilities for your characters to use when locked in a lethal duel with an enemy champion or commander.
Ci sono a quanto pare delle nuove regole per gestire, diciamo, dei duelli.
Killing the foe is not the only way to dominate the battlefield. Representing the debilitating effects of the myriad weapons of the Age of Darkness, new tactical statuses allow you to subdue an enemy army before breaking their spirit and putting them to flight.
Nuove regole comunque per sfruttare tattiche.
new advanced characteristics represent their ability to follow orders, stay calm under pressure, and fight on in the face of overwhelming odds. Every weapon in the game has been reworked, including the addition of a damage characteristic, as well as many melee weapons offering new bonuses to those skilled enough to wield.
Ah, le armi adesso
These are just a
acquisiscono
handful of the new rules in the
la
upcoming
statistica
new
del
edition
danno.
of Warhammer, the Horus Heresy.
Ok. Beh, queste immagino che siano classiche
What a
cose che
fantastic
man
primer on the
mano
new
poi
rules, and we've taken the liberty
sti
of
salti di
cracking the
volume,
rulebook out of the Saturnine
quelle
box.
classiche cose che man mano
Been given
faranno degli
permission to break the seal
articoli.
on the rulebook that we just opened up from our Saturnine box. So here we go. Let's open it up.
Are you going to do it so you can keep it for now?
No, I've broken it. I just broke the seal. There we go. Right.
Purity seals.
So we have two reference compendiums, one for me, one for you, so we can play a game later. There we go. And inside this, we have the beautiful new Age of Darkness rulebook. It is a hefty tome, clocking in at 352 pages.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I have been reliably informed that
There's more than 100 pages at the start of that book are detailing the lore and the history of the Horus Heresy. So from the events that lead up to the heresy, so through the Great Crusade, and then obviously the things that cause the actual breakout of the heresy. Then you've got an incredible primer on all of the forces that take place within it. So the 18 Space Marine Legions, forces like the Solar
Bene, poi sarà da leggere quello.
the Mechanicum and so on. This is a really brilliant way of dipping your toe into the lore if you never have. If you are an
Da
established
capire
fan
se
of the Horus Heresy, I mean,
quanto
following it since I was about 10 years
diventa
old,
quanto
and, there were
diventa
still new things in there for me to learn. I really enjoyed
ottava e
it.
post
Wading
40.000,
through
quanto
the
rimane filo
also
settima.
rules.
there's also loads of rules. So the back half of this book is
Tipo il
obviously the
danno
rules
già
of the new
andiamo più
edition of
sull'ottavo,
Warhammer,
però.
the Horus Heresy, and we certainly haven't got time today to go through absolutely every rule of the new edition, but we do have a few little nuggets that we can share with you, a few things that Josh has already hinted at. So let's talk about stats. This is the stats of a legionary in the new edition of Warhammer, the Horus Heresy. As you can see, some returning favourites in the stat line: movement, weapon skill, ballistical, strength, toughness, wounds, initiative, attacks. All the classics are there.
But what is this? New stats.
There's a
Eddie.
new stat bit section at the bottom. There is an advanced stat section who broadly deal with the mental capabilities and fortitude of your Space Marines. You will notice that alongside save and invulnerable save at the bottom there are 4 stats. Leadership returns, demonstrating how good your
Ok, la
troops are at taking
disciplina.
orders and rallying when you tell them to. You have CL, which means cool, which is how well your troops fare under fire and how well they can deal with things like sniper fire and bombardments and avoiding pinning and things like that.
Yep.
You
Ah,
have
ok, che
WP,
è più
that's willpower. It is
Which
willpower.
is
sulla questione
essentially
della
your,
ferite, del
warrior's
fuoco di
mental
soppressione,
fortitude
resistere a
when it
fuoco di
comes to things like
soppressione
psychic
simili,
tests and
bombardamenti,
resisting
ok, una
psychic
cosa un po'
powers.
diversa
Think
dalla
of that as
disciplina in
the,
questo caso.
ability
Ok.
of your character to have a fortress of his mind and either use that offensively or defensively. And then lastly, you have intelligence, which is his ability to do technical actions under duress. So it's the sort of thing you can imagine.
Ah, la
themselves.
willpower,
Mechanical
vabbè, la
make use
volontà,
of, maybe
ok.
when they're repairing
Però
vehicles
volontà,
for each
la
other.
differenziano
You also use things
dal,
like communications equipment and that sort of stuff.
dalla
Anything that's interacting
disciplina.
with
Cioè,
text,
spesso nelle
If
edizioni
you
di
have been
Warhammer
around in
40.000 era
Warhammer
una cosa
40,000 for a
abbastanza
very long
comune,
time, and I'm
invece
talking Rogue Trader
hanno
era,
differenziato.
you will recognize these stats as
La disciplina,
being
quindi la
from,
associano
the
più a
very first
una
edition
questione
of
proprio
Warhammer 40,000, but they haven't
di
been
disciplina
included just
militare,
for nostalgia's sake.
mentre la
They
volontà è
give
proprio la
more
capacità di
nuance to the way the game
resistere a
works and
delle-
more
degli
interaction and
effetti
more differentiation
particolari,
between the types of units
magari
you can
anche
include.
magari proprio
So things
opzioni,
like chaplains and
e
librarians and
l'intelligenza
tech
invece
marines will all vary
associata
quite a
al
lot
compiere
in
azioni
these stats in terms of
tattiche.
what they bring to your army.
Ok,
You
figo,
can see
minchia,
here, a
hanno,
legionary is 7 across the
hanno
board,
premuto
which
molto,
means that when you
cioè,
take these tests, for the most part, you're
sulle
rolling 2d6
cose un po'
and
più
trying to
vecchie delle
score
edizioni di
equal or
Warhammer
less than your
40.000,
score,
che avevano tutte quelle
much
stat
like you do with current
molto
leadership.
gioco di ruolesche.
So
Carino.
legionaries are going to pass most of these tests most of the time if they roll on the averages. There will be some things that are much better at taking these tests. So Primarchs, for example, push some of these numbers into double figures. And there are some units which have quite low stats. So things like tech rolls
yeah,
were
there you
the
go.
ones that we found earlier on, which have fairly atrocious stats for these. So not very good at resisting psychic powers, but actually very uncaring when their fellow troops get taken out by
Pretty good at doing
fire.
what they're told.
Yeah, they're good at doing what they're told, but not much else. Yeah.
Sì, vanno proprio a
And
dirci,
the stats, they're
per
used
rappresentare
for a thing
magari il
which is
fatto
used
che
as your tactics
c'è un'unità
phase.
che magari non è
I've
così
grabbed
tanto
the last,
capace
frame out of
a
the box,
resistere a un
and
potere
you can see
psionico,
this is
però poi
essentially
magari di
tactics
disciplina
40
militare,
markers,
di,
which, they have a mix of things. One,
di essere
numbers
bravi
of
a resistere alla
you've got these sort of things here.
pressione
These relate
dovuta ad
to
altri
a thing
fattori,
called
invece raggrupparsi con gli altri membri
So,
dell'esercito.
in
Su
games
quello
of
magari è
the Horus
perfetto, è
Heresy
bravissimo.
edition, there are ways
E
of
lo si
interacting with your opponent's
differenzia.
army that
Questo è
are more
carino.
than just killing them. They are effectively giving enemy units debuffs or tactical statuses. These are usually caused by them being forced to take and then failing one of those advanced characteristics.
Rende un po' meno
tests, and
generico
there are
questo
4 of
fattore
them.
mentale.
Pinned means that the enemy unit is pinned down under fire, either something like artillery or sniper fire, and they can't move. Suppressed is that unit is less able to return fire because they are ducking behind cover and trying not to take hits, basically. Stunned means that unit's going to be less able to react to things that happen in the game. And then routed means that you've actually just broken the morale of that unit and it's going to be fleeing.
E anche questi effetti quindi
have slightly different rules in terms of how they interact with the rest of the game, but they mean
sono
that you can
magari
interact with your opponent's army in ways that aren't just
per
blow them off the
rappresentare
battlefield.
meglio
Although
come
you absolutely
un'unità
still
può
can
essere
just blow
appunto
them off.
inchiodata,
Always an option.
soppressa, stordita, che va in rotta.
Changes that happen to weapons. Weapons have new profiles. Eddie, you're very good at this bit.
Yes, so ranged weapons and melee weapons have both changed, and there are some things that will be very familiar and some things that have changed slightly. So we've got a bolt pistol here and a Saturnine disruption fist. Let's look at the bolt pistol first. It has range, that's how far it can shoot.
Sì, diciamo che da quello che dicono parrebbe quasi che la volontà sia più una questione appunto della disciplina, ma per effetti simili poteri psionici di dintorni.
The difference between range strength and strength is that some rules will only interact
Più che
with range
appunto
strength
per altri
and some
fattori in
rules
cui
will interact with
interverrebbe
any strength.
l'appunto
there's a
disciplina
slight differentiation there. AP
o altro.
is how good at punching through armor it is, and then a big change to weapons in the new edition is that they now have a damage characteristic. So that's how many
Ma in realtà
wounds
no,
you do
in
if
realtà
you get
no,
a shot
perché
through. And what that means is you
mi aveva
have
subito
more
dato
differentiation
l'impressione che
between guns
fossero
that are
più
very good at
sull'ottava
killing
perché avevano
infantry,
messo la questione
light
del danno.
infantry,
Dicevo,
and guns
aspetta
that
che
are
magari
very good
adesso
at
iniziano a
killing
prendere
heavier
quella
stuff that do
roba.
damage to vehicles
Invece no,
or
perché ci sono
taking
tutte queste
out turrets and
caratteristiche
things
che
like
invece no,
that.
non
So
ce
things
l'ha
like a bolt
l'ottava,
gun
no,
would be
cioè le
damage
attuali
one,
edizioni di
stuff like
40.000.
las cannons and disintegrators and things like that
Anzi,
have a higher damage characteristic.
mi danno molto più la
Looking at
sensazione
the
di
melee
roba
weapons, they've also
pescata
gone
più
through
dal
some changes.
passato,
The big
dalle
thing
prime
to note
edizioni di
about
Warhammer
melee
40.000,
weapons
che
is
avevano
that most of
tante
the time
caratteristiche
their
che
stat line will
strizzavano
be,
tanto l'occhio al gioco di
boosts
ruolo.
or, buffs to your existing melee stat line rather than being a stat line in its own right. So a Saturnine Disruption Fist, IM stands for Initiative Modifier. So you fight in initiative order in Warhammer the Horus Heresy, and that shows that this weapon is going to swing quite ponderously, but it's going to hit fairly hard. Attack modifier is how many attacks you get. So in this instance, you use your attack profile.
Yeah, but it might be, for example, +1 or +2.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. SM is strength modifier. So if you have a Saturnine Disruption Fist, you have +2 to your strength. Saturnine Terminators are already pretty strong, so they're going to be hitting pretty hard. And then AP is how good at punching through armor you are, and D is how much damage that does.
Sì,
So
se proprio dobbiamo
just
dargli
on a
un
read of
numero, un
that, you can see that a
7.5, ma anche perché ormai
Disruption
sono proprio
Fist is gonna
sistemi
pretty much kill
diversi,
anything
diciamo.
short
Già la seconda
of,
comunque aveva cambiato
character
delle
in a single
cose,
hit.
quindi
Beautiful.
le radici comuni, però
Well, rules.
ormai è diventato
So,
il
this
suo
is just
gioco.
the sort of the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the studio team responsible for the Horus Heresy game have done. Essentially, they love this game and they poured all of that love into fine-tuning and finessing and adding new and exciting things for you to experience. It's the same game you already know and love if you play the Horus Heresy, but it's been sort of revitalized, and they're really excited to share it with you. We've talked a little bit about stat lines and the things that you refer to. The first place you'll find them is in the booklet that comes inside the Saturnine box.
Dice regole introduttive
And in it you'll
e
find
guida
all of the
alle costruzioni delle
quick start
miniature. Ok,
rules
guida
and profiles and things that you
all'assemblaggio e regole
use to,
introduttive.
use your models in your first games. This is absolutely, there you go, it's full of construction information, but near the start you've got profiles and things too. This is great for your first games, and you could just play this forever. But if you want to get more out of the Horus Heresy, you're going to need the new Liber books, which are coming out on the same day as the release.
Ma si vedeva il Fellblade, Sì, sì, infatti. Se hanno fatto vedere il Fellblade perché, insomma.
And there will be 5 released on the day that Saturnine comes out. The 2 you can see here, Liber Hereticus and Liber Astartes, deal with the Loyalist and Traitor Legions. These are massive tomes packed with lore and information about the
banalmente versione aggiornata.
all of the stats you need, not just for the warriors, but also for those iconic characters, first captains like Sigismund or primarchs like Lorgar.
Ti dico, Bretauniano, più che altro ai tempi, banalmente perché trovo che sia un po' più caratteristico, diciamo, e caratterizza magari meglio i suoi eserciti. Poi ormai è tanto che non gioco, per carità, però per i tempi in cui un pochettino giocavo mi piaceva tanto per questo, perché riusciva a caratterizzare bene le proprie armate.
Adesso
ok,
I can almost imagine in chat right now they're saying, but what
Liber
about the
Auxilia, Liber
talents of the
Mechanicum,
Emperor?
Liber
Fear not.
Questoris.
On the
Poi
day
cos'è?
of
Ci
launch,
sarebbe poi un
we'll
altro
be
Liber
releasing a
evidentemente per
downloadable,
eventuali
PDF,
custodi,
which has
sole
all
del
the rules you need to use
silenzio.
your force until your own Liber book is
Yeah.
released.
There's a little bit of a wait for the Talents of the Emperor Liber book, but it'll be well worth it.
Absolutely.
Ok.
Wow. Right. Good.
Quello arriverà
Okay,
un po' più
so,
tardi, quindi.
Now, what I would say is we covered so all the models.
Non lo
we've
so Marco, ma
covered
infatti
all of
ecco,
the,
una cosa che
like the rules
un po' mi
interest.
spiace è che io
We'd like to talk a little bit
spero
about
che
the lore. Perhaps you can
comunque
sat there in the chat and be
delle
like,
cose
what is
restino in
this Horus Heresy? How do
commercio,
I
delle
get into
cose
it? How
si
do I
venga
enjoy
subito a fare le
this
cose
enormous
compatibili. Sarà ovviamente
decade-spanning series? Well, our lore master prepared a little message to
io
explain
spero
it.
che determinate cose vengano aggiornate abbastanza rapidamente per chi è più interessato alla parte delle regole. Però a me io ci tengo tanto alla questione delle storie, perché a me spiace che poi escono di produzione.
Good news is, it's actually pretty straightforward. And to prove it, here are 3 surefire ways to get started. The first way is the simplest by far. Packed within the new Warhammer the Horus Heresy Saturnine box game is the Age of Darkness rulebook. This honking great tome isn't just a rulebook though, it's also a fantastic primer for the events of
Qua
the
ci
Horus
sta
Heresy.
facendo tipo la sorta di guida, tipo volete iniziare a scoprire l'eresia che è tipo gigante? Aspetta un attimo vi dico 4 parole. C'era la timeline lì.
But what if you really want the story? You know, all those novels everyone keeps banging on about. Well, if that's your chosen route, you're in for a treat. Just pick up the Horus Heresy Book 1, Horus Rising. First up, it's a genuinely excellent novel and sets up all of the events that...
Cataste di libri sicuro, perché io ho lì in scaffale ho tutti i manuali di seconda edizione di Warhammer di Horus Heresy, sono una pila enorme.
Everyone loves Horus. It's all gonna go great.
Veri cazzo di mattoni.
What if you just completely time-starved and need another option? We've got you covered. The entire Horus Heresy series is available on audiobook, meaning no matter what's keeping you busy, you can get caught up. Walking the dog, do it while Horus purges the legions of Imperial loyalists. Travelling to and from work or school, it'll sound better to the narrated events of the Dropsite Massacre. Frantically painting models for your new Warhammer the Horus Heresy army. You get the idea. So there you have it, 3 great ways to start exploring the story of the Horus Heresy. The only question is, how are you going to catch up?
That was a great little lore primer. I have to confess that the audiobooks in particular are a favourite of mine. I've listened to the entire of the Siege of Terror series, and usually when I was walking my dog, so there are entire sequences that I can visualise where I was with my dog at the time that, you know, some important person died.
No Marco, è figo anche quello Exemplary Battles, se riesci te lo
lore and
consiglio.
things that are interesting, also coming out alongside Saturnine is an amazing new map produced by the Warhammer studio. This is the Carta Galactica, the Imperium of Mankind at the time
A voi l'audio
of
a
the Horus
posto?
Heresy.
O è solo un mio problema?
This is post Great Crusade. You can see some of the more troublesome things that are taking place in the galaxy have begun. You can almost imagine Horus. Is he like,
è un problema loro?
Ok,
allora ce l'ho io. Ok, aspetta.
Probably carved into the skin of some...
Yeah. Ok, a posto. No, perché ho iniziato a sentire un po' metallico, volevo capire se era un loro problema loro o se ero io solo che dovevo staccare e attaccare le cuffie. Ok, grazie mille.
Coming soon, this fantastic new volume, which is Journal Tactica, the Dropsite Massacre Part 1. This is our first of the Journal Tacticas that we'll be releasing for the Horus Heresy game, and it is rammed full of great content. So it's got lore, it's got scenario rules and ways to play to recreate some of those famous events, as you can see here.
Sì, però
loads of great stuff for you to add some variety and interest to your games. And the thing that I'm really excited about this is
su Istvan V vi ricordo che vi dovete confrontare con questo, quindi mi raccomando che questo è bello, quindi
the studio team are exploring it in beautiful detail.
I think one of the things about the Horus Heresy is that you do get to visit these amazing moments, especially if you've kind of come to it through the fiction and you've read the Black Library books. You're like, man, that battle sounds really cool. It'd be great to kind of reenact it. And this allows you to do it. There's a lot of the kind of DNA from some of those really well-loved black books of the very first edition of the Horus Heresy in this. It's just a really lovely book if you want to kind of, if you're narrative-minded and you kind of love playing campaigns and things like this. And the Horus Heresy is great for that. This is an awesome book for it.
Perfect. So we've still got some things to show you that perhaps you haven't seen. And one of the things that I'm excited to show you, this is probably my favourite thing of the entire preview. But following hot on the heels of the release of Saturnine is a really impressive new kit. Perhaps we can roll the footage for that now.
Ok, ci fanno già vedere il Fellblade, quindi. Ok, ottimo. Si vedeva dal trailer, appunto, quindi. Sto leggendo false idee adesso. Ben venga, ben venga. Spero ti stia piacendo. Sono morti. È finita così. E va. La succede.
This is unquestionably my thing I'm most excited about. I have loved.
A me invece ti dico, a me è sempre piaciuta tantissimo la calotta rotonda. Fin da quando fecero il Deimos Predator. Sempre piaciuta un botto la calotta. La torretta più arrotondata. Però giustamente sono gusti.
The real thing is like 300 tons of armored fury powered by an enormous atomantic reactor. This thing is rocking 2 accelerator cannons. You can rip a Titan's guts out with those things. It has weapon mounts that you can see on it. So it's got the demolisher cannon mounted in the front. Those heavy bolters in the front can be swapped out. It's got you can see here some of the
io mi ero
options, right?
perso. Mannaggia. Grazie innanzitutto Spriggan per questi 5 abbonamenti regalati. Grazie mille. Io però un po' di minuti fa mi sono perso un segui di
You can't have one right now, but you can have one fairly soon.
Ma lo recuperiamo subito. Grazie mille per questo segui. Perdonami.
How big this thing is. But just to give you even more of a sense of it, we have brought along its little brother.
Friend.
Look at this. Trundling on.
Vabbè, povero Cristo, però è uno scontro un pochettino impari, nel senso. Povero Predator Deimos.
A fairly typical sized tank in games of Horus Heresy. And if I lift it up slightly, you'll notice that the Predator is ever so slightly shorter than the entire length of the accelerator cannons on this. But you can imagine one of these Fellblades leading like
la mamma orsa coi cuccioli, poverino, insomma, dai.
Obviously, it shares the sort of similar silhouette.
Lo mettiamo un po' in soggezione questo povero Predator.
Source, but it is an order of magnitude more impressive in terms of its firepower and its just sheer mass, isn't it?
Yeah, I am just giddy about this. A bit too excited, maybe, but in all of the best ways. Such a great looking kit, and I can't wait to get my hands on one.
Loads of really lovely big areas on there as well to put your heraldry on. So
no, ma infatti ma ci sta, uno è affezionato a una certa iconografia, a un certo aspetto del Marine.
If you are a painter and you want a model to show off your painting skills on, this is a nice one to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just give a nod to transfers. Saturnine, I put the transfer sheet somewhere else, but Saturnine has a transfer sheet in it with 1,172 individual transfers on. Some of them are very, very tiny. Some of them are like big enough to be decorating your Saturnine Dreadnought.
Mi fa ridere perché io mi immagino Adam si è dovuto memorizzare tipo quanti è che sono i trasferibili? Ah sì, sono tipo 1772. Ah sì, aspetta che me lo devo memorizzare.
So this is where it's at if you're looking to detail your models. As you'd expect from Saturnine and the theme of the box, these focus very heavily on the Iron Warriors and the Salamander's Legions. But even if they're not your jam, there's so many other useful markings on it.
A me manca da leggere il Figlio della Foresta e mi deve ancora arrivare Fulgrim. Dai, spero che finora comunque le letture ti siano piaciute.
Yeah. So, we're still not done yet. There are still new and exciting things for us to show and share with you. But before we do that, let's jump across back to Question Corner with our Lore Master and see if there's any questions we need to address.
There are indeed. There's a lot of people asking very specific questions like army building, about specific rules like instant death balances. You guys are going to have an awful lot of articles going up on Warcom soon, aren't you?
Yes, so there are obviously quite a lot of rule changes across the new edition. We aren't going to be able to cover all of them here. What we can say is that we will cover lots of the rules changes in articles on the Warhammer community website.
Sempre di ciò che stiamo guardando,
So keep your eyes posted there, and there'll be all the nuance of how
guardare se il sito di Horus Heresy è già stato aggiornato.
There's a lot of people asking, is the box going to be a range item?
So yes, it is. So there will be
range items. Fancy words for will I
No,
be
non
able to
ancora.
buy it for a long time, right? And the answer is yes. It's going to be a permanent item of the Warhammer range. It will sit on the web store and hopefully in your local hobby stores and Games Workshop, Warhammer shops. You showed my age there, didn't I, Craig?
There's a host of people asking about base sizes. I think in particular the Terminators and the Dreadnought.
I knew base sizes was coming, and I was ready for it 10 or 15 minutes ago. There's loads of bases in the box. The Dreadnought comes on a 100mm base. I think the Terminators are on 60s. They might be on 50s. I'll try and confirm it for you later, but I wouldn't want to bet my life on it right now.
50s.
Are they 50s? There we go.
50s. When is it coming out?
We don't have a release date we can share with you today.
Vabbè,
but we
comunque ha
wouldn't be
messo
talking about
estate,
it if it
sarà
wasn't quite
fine
soon.
giugno, luglio, vabbè, sarà luglio
Just to be clear.
probabilmente.
Everything is going to be available at launch that we've shown off today, except for that Fellblade.
Everything so far except that Fellblade.
Absolutely. That's quite exciting. Right. Okay. Thank you for those questions. Next, we're going to show you some new miniatures, but before we do, we would like to show you a teaser of something you'll have never ever seen before. This is a clip, a trailer, if you like a preview.
Exclusive extra.
Exclusive extra, that'll do. From the upcoming Kill Lupacal animation that comes out next week.
That's true.
Una piccola anteprima di Kill Lupacal, dato che tra poco deve uscire.
Taking ground fire, my princeps.
Voids to full!
Diverting power. Voids at full radiance. Limited feet from the targeters, my princeps.
I have it.
Vediamo se riusciamo a confermare il fatto che... Cioè, i protagonisti sono Legio Tempestus. Volevo vedere se riuscivamo a confermare che tra i nemici ci sono la Legio Mortis. Se in sta clip si vede, magari.
Composing target solutions.
No need. Autoloaders.
Priming princeps.
Brace!
Le epilessia.
That was awesome. She might have the best job in the Imperium.
It's up there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Certainly.
really
Titan
good.
Princeps.
Eddie, what can you tell us about Kill Lupacal?
Yeah, so that was Kill Lupacal. That is the very first
Avremo una
Horus Heresy
conferma
animation
quando
on
lo
its way
vedremo.
for Warhammer TV, for Warhammer Plus subscribers, and that will be available to watch next week, the first episode.
Nice. Yeah, and the plot is set during the Siege of Terror on Terror itself.
That's right, yeah. So in the closing hours of the greatest battle in human history, as the last loyal Titans march out into the field to try and claim some semblance of victory from a hopeless siege.
Sounds awesome. Perfect. Right. We promised you that there would be a few exciting extras that we would close out the show with. And so what we've got is a little bit of a preview of things that are yet to come. We do have a need to apply a little bit of caution here. These things are a few months out after the other side of Saturnine. So we'll show you on the proviso that you don't harass the social media team too hard.
Yeah, that's the deal, right? So we'll show you the stuff a little bit earlier than we might normally, but you're not allowed to pester the social media team every day about when they're going to come out. That's the deal. And if you're not okay with
È
it, you
tipo,
can start
oh raga,
watching.
vi facciamo
If you
vedere
wanna
delle
see
cose in
some cool Heresy
anticipo,
stuff,
però
stay tuned and
potete
we'll see.
smettere di
Well, in
caccare
that
così
case,
tanto
we
il
should start with
cazzo
some things
ai
maybe
poveri
we could
social
just
media
do a
manager.
couple of previews on Warcom with the Tarantula turret.
Yes, so this is the Legion Tarantula. This is an automated weapon platform that the Space Marine Legions can drop in from orbit alongside things like drop pods and other orbital attack.
And the awesome new
things.
Arachne.
And the awesome new Arachne, yeah, it's the little brother of the Arachne Quad Accelerator platform that comes in the Saturnine box. So if you do pick up a Saturnine box, you can supplement it with a few of these. It comes with a variety of lethal weapons. Some classics return, including your las cannons and heavy bolter options, but you've also got a snazzy new Volkite option and a melter option in case you want to drop in and melt some tanks.
Un'edizione di Warhammer di solito dura 3 anni. C'è un ciclo, però vediamo adesso con Horus Heresy. Non lo so, ammetto che a me un ciclo di 3 anni per Horus Heresy non è che attizza moltissimo. Non dal punto di vista del giocatore come al solito, però è un po' per la conservazione delle storie. Mi piacevano un botto i serventi di queste
rolling down the corridor of a Mortalis zone and just absolutely hosing
imagine you're trying to defend a zone Mortalis and one of those like rounds the corner and you're like, I picked the wrong corridor. Yes, but those are 2 of the ways you can build it. The crew that come with it are particularly cool. They've got lots of really nice little touches, including things like scanners and tech.
Tipo hanno quell'elmo con placche aggiuntive che era in un vecchio kit di un Tech Marine.
Gone through a few STCs and millennia on the way to Warhammer 40,000. A couple of other ways these can be built as well. There's 2 kits on the way, with depending on how you want to equip them. This one comes with a quad launcher or a laser destroyer. So basically, whatever you want to shoot at, there's probably a Legion Rapier that can help you do it.
No, in realtà non è assolutamente strano che non abbiano messo i Sons of Horus e Imperial Fist, perché i Sons of Horus e Imperial Fist erano tematici per dove era ambientata la parte iniziale della seconda edizione di Horus Heresy, che era appunto l'assedio di Ctonia. Qui, ad esempio, i magli imperiali non c'entrano una mazza. Perché la scatola è ambientata durante Istvan V. Quindi no, semplicemente è un'altra... È una figli, tra l'altro. È una scatola che prende come tema un altro momento dell'eresia.
Modifications as well. You can see that his armor sort of beefed up a little bit. The jump pack is absolutely enormous. It looks like a jetpack lifting that kind of ton of Space Marine right into the middle of the enemy forces. The chain axe is huge. It's like the size of a man, right? So you can imagine that coming down and just ripping stuff to pieces.
Can you imagine inviting somebody into compliance during the Great Crusade? Hi, we're here to invite you into the Imperium. Would you like to comply? My chain axe is bigger than you.
I think you would. I think you definitely join, right?
So
these are on the way a little way off.
Io sempre amato sto
another way to put
saltapacco.
assault troops into your force.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you've gone for your kind of like Mark 2s and 3s, very brutal looking armor patterns.
For sure. Speaking of Mark II and 3 and brutal armor patterns, one of the most exciting things you're going to see today, Amanda, the chat has just gone wild. Everybody loves the Space Marine Legion breachers, and they are coming in plastic. This is a Mark III Legion breacher. He's got that iconic shield. He's got a bolter.
C'erano tanti che chiedevano.
Reloading is hard when you're holding a shield. And just that brutalist look that comes with the iron armor. I love it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, they look great. I think it's an upgrade as well, so you can potentially mix with different armor marks, but there is something about the mark.
So I use breachers in my current Dark Angels army, and they are great.
No, non sono più utilizzati, non sono più parte della...
I think that they always look so cool because they've got that huge
della
piece
formazione
of heraldry on the front, so you can just paint them and make them look amazing. And even just like, if you just put a splash of colour across it in a transfer, they look immediately cool.
That's all I've done, and mine look good. This one is beautiful, obviously, with the incredible studio paint job. Now, it's mostly Space Marines. Oh, we did that before. Here we go. This is a Space Marine still.
Yeah, there's more Space Marines on the way. We're only going to show a little bit of this guy, but is a Volkite gun. Obviously, bolters and disintegrators are great, but Volkite is another one of the staples of the Horus Heresy. But who is carrying this one? We're not going to tell you who it is, but feel free to speculate away. This is another Space Marine plastic on the way in the future.
Beautiful. Now, as I said, it's not just Space Marines in the Horus Heresy, even though it's mostly Space Marines. Here's a look at something that's coming from the Forge Worlds, maybe Mars.
There we go. So, yes.
In realtà c'è già stata, Pietro.
Thingy of some sort. Not going to show you the whole model, but just in case you thought we'd forgotten about the troops of Mars, don't worry, there are more things on the way.
Absolutely.
Che bello, hanno un botto le gambe simili a Coriel Z.
And speaking of teases yet to come, and so that the talons of the Emperor fans are not left out, behold, this is a beautiful Guardian spear for an Adeptus, a Legio, I beg your pardon, Custodes model. It's a new model, it's a plastic model, and that's all we're going to tell you.
That's true.
I'm quite excited though. I want the Custodian players to get their...
we just didn't want you to think we'd forgotten about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that is everything. We have shown you all of our things, we have previewed all of our previews, and we hope you've had a nice time.
Most importantly, Adam, have
la scatola dell'eresia durante Prospero è questa qua.
My t-shirt and my hazard stripe on my laptop are probably an indicator that my mind was at least partially made up. I believe I'm going to go for the 4th Legion. and start some Iron Warriors. I think it will work really nicely with a lot of the things that are coming out, you know, that sort of...
Quindi c'è già stata. Poi per carità, magari un giorno in futuro, chissà quando, potrebbero fare un'altra, però...
picked a legion for your for the new edition of the Horus Heresy, and what color you'll be painting your Saturnine box set.
So, when this stream is done, if you are thirsty for more Warhammer entertainment, do not necessarily just leave. We'll be throwing the stream back to our colleagues over in the US who are currently at the Warhammer Open Dallas. There's going to be some incredible content there, including masterclass level painting from Golden Demon winning painters.
Lo so, purtroppo
experts do it and sort of keep up the,
hanno troppa fiducia nell'umanità, nel fatto che se fanno tease, tipo domani ci sarà il tizio che dirà, ci sarà il tizio che arriverà su social e dirà, quindi delle cose che avete mostrato ieri, quando è che ne sappiamo di più?
So you can watch the videos back, you can get a reminder of all the things that we've said, you can watch that amazing new cinematic trailer all over again, and we'll be updating that website with new articles over the coming weeks. So it really is the place to be. You can also engage with us on our socials. We've got Facebook and Instagram, and all of the videos will live on YouTube as well. So there is...
Sì, dove il tizio vuole tutti, infatti, perché ovviamente figurati se sui social gli esseri umani riescono ad avere un minimo di contegno. Ma...
For now, what remains for us to do is to thank everybody out there, all of you who have come and joined our stream, for spending some time with us, and hopefully you're as excited about the new Horus Heresy edition and Saturnine as we are. Thanks to Alex over in Question Corner, who has done a wonderful job of keeping us in line and answering your questions. Thank you, Eddie.
That's quite all right, Adam. I would have just been talking about Warhammer on my own if you hadn't come.
Exactly so. So we will leave you with one more look at that cinematic trailer. But for now, thank you, everyone. Good night.
I was there when he painted this. An oddity among his schematics and calculations. Yet, this seemed to help him. A way he could express the enormity of his plan. Not if the legions are successful. It depends.
Ovviamente dopo ce lo riguardiamo ancora. La sorella dovrebbe essere Genetia Kroll. Perlomeno dall'armatura sembra lei.
The attack failed.
How many?
Half of the legions now stand with Horus.
You're surprised?
In the end, I suppose not. Do you wonder if they might be right? Many will sympathize with their rebellion.
I am the Emperor's spear. What I think doesn't matter.
What now, then?
We make ready for a war that may never end.
Ma poi, io devo ricontrollare, perché a me, magari no, però a me sti dialoghi mi sembrano estratti da un racconto. Cioè, mi sembra di averli già sentiti. Poi magari semplicemente hanno rielaborato magari qualche dialogo che c'è stato nel corso della serie. E quindi suona simile. Però devo ricontrollare. Sta cosa è tipo... alcuni pensi che possano aver ragione, alcuni potrebbero simpatizzare con la loro ribellione, e c'è lui che dice, no, ma io sono comunque un servo dell'imperatore, non importa ciò che penso. Mi suona, mi suona. Devo ricontrollare, perché non so. O semplicemente ho detto può essere una somiglianza. Poi cerco, poi cerco. Cari, allora... Non lo so se sia Master of Mankind, sai? Boh, possibile. Possibile, non so. Devo ricercare, vi ho detto, mi suona tantissimo, però potrei magari semplicemente sbagliarmi, magari mi sembra. Vabbè, vedo. Cari, allora, facciamo che ci vediamo per le 9:30. Facciamo che ci vediamo per le 9:30. Tanto io avevo messo la live su YouTube programmata per le 9:30. Quindi, quindi la teniamo così. Almeno facciamo un minimo di stacco. Io magari mangio ancora qualcosina. Prendo da bere. Magari faccio qua un paio di ricerche. Raduno anche un attimo le domande che mi avete mandato. Fino ad ora. E almeno poi siamo pronti. Stasera ci riguarderemo comunque un'altra volta questo filmato introduttivo. Magari lo analizziamo un po' ulteriormente. Magari qualche dettaglino da apprezzare. Magari mettendolo in pausa nei momenti giusti. Insomma, lo discutiamo un po'. E poi. E poi faremo appunto le domande. Qua intanto ci guardiamo anche un po' gli articoli, come al solito, però almeno lo facciamo bene, le chiacchiere, che diciamo conta come cosa di news della settimana. Sì, 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 sì. Dai. E allora ci vediamo tra non molto, cari. Buonasera, Fellblade. Ti do appuntamento a dopo, solo perché adesso abbiamo appena finito l'anteprima, ma 9:30 ci rivediamo qua. Qualche minuto e ci siamo di nuovo. Vi aspetto allora tra poco che discutiamo bene di tutte queste cosettine qua e poi andiamo a rispondere alle domande che mi avete inviato nel corso di mattinata e pomeriggio. Dai, grazie ancora. Scusatemi, ho detto mezz'ora, alle 9:30 lo intendevo. A tra poco, a tra poco. A tra poco. Grazie mille per la compagnia finora, nel caso ci vediamo dopo. Ciao 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 ciao.